I think we're going to talk about the stuff that happened outside of his career now. I think what we need to do is focus on some of the stuff that happened outside of his career, because we've talked a lot about what happened inside the ring. It's what happened outside the ring that I think transcended him as a man, and why probably people still consider him to be the greatest over guys like Sugar Ray Robinson. You know, in terms of an overall package, not just a fighter in the ring. If you're judging someone inside and outside the ring, Ali tops them all because of the man he was. And there's just stories of some of the things that he had to do, and I think there's one story that sticks out in my mind, and there's quite a few of them. In 1984, Ali announced his support for the re-election of United States President Ronald Reagan. When asked to elaborate on his endorsement of Reagan, Ali told the reporters he's keeping God in schools and that's enough. In 1985, he visited Israel to request the release of Muslim prisoners at a detainee camp, which Israel initially declined. And then I think it was the 1991 that was really significant for me. In 1990, he travelled to Iraq. This was prior to the Gulf War, by the way, and he actually met with Saddam Hussein in an attempt to negotiate the release of American hostages. Ali actually secured the release of all the hostages in exchange for promising Hussein that he would bring America an honest account of Iraq. And that alone, for me, is part of why people love him. The fact that he was able to go over there to Saddam Hussein, who's obviously known as the dictator and a guy that was known as an evil person in a majority of the people's minds, and had this sort of stronghold over the country and the way he ran the country all the way up until his death. This was a guy who was just a boxer. This was a guy who's been in the ring, and the reputation outside of the ring had preceded him. He was able to go over to a hostile country like that, be welcomed with open arms, and then actually negotiate the release of hostages. Wow, that's a story in its own. That's just something that made him the man he was.
Oh, that's just incredible, isn't it? I mean, the way he was able to use his, his sporting. He's a sporting icon, and the way he was able to use that for the good, because that's what I believe that was the sort of person he was. He came from, it was a basic upbringing. It wasn't a terrible upbringing of any sorts, but it was a comfortable upbringing. But he always made sure that when he did get to the point where where he was at, he was able to help people, and he always did. He was always the footage you ever see. He was always known to do magic tricks with the kids, didn't he? When they'd go and watch him, sort of sparring. Obviously the torch at the Olympics as well was a big thing. He also done the Winter Olympics as well in 2002. He lit the torch there, and yeah, I mean, as you say, I mean that's incredible. I've never heard that story, so that just makes again, you do the one thing with Ali, you do find out other little bits, bits and pieces that you didn't know, and that's enlightening to hear that, and just shows you again just. As you rightly said there, Sean, that this guy is the greatest because of what he's done in and outside the ring, and that's what makes him so great, and just such a great person to watch and to just discuss and talk about. Well, I mean, what an amazing fighter, what an amazing guy.
The 1996 Olympics as well, when he actually came in and lit took the lit torch and basically opened the Olympic Games was a huge thing as well, because obviously it was watched by, I think it was something ridiculous like 3.5 billion people across the world, and Muhammad Ali, obviously full of his Parkinson's at the time, struggling to get it there, but managed to get it there, was quite an iconic moment, which is seen in quite a few of the documentaries that have been made about him. And even well after that, he was still involved in all sorts of different projects, and it was quite amazing to see how he was able to still be involved in so much, as much as he possibly could be, all the way up until the end, really. And I think that's what a lot of people had total respect for him for, was not just everything he did inside the ring, it's everything he did outside the ring as well. And I think for me that's what kind of made him like people say, the greatest, because of everything he was able to do inside and outside of the ring, and all the different stories and all the humanitarian work that he did outside of the ring was amazing. And when he actually passed away in 2016, there was people lining the streets up and down. The coverage over on the TV networks worldwide was absolutely ridiculous. Literally every channel was just Ali. Everything was about Ali. There was not a channel that didn't have it on. Here in the UK, and obviously in the USA they have a lot more channels, so it was on every channel. And they had pallbearers including Will Smith, Lennox Lewis, Mike Tyson, with honorary pallbearers, Chuvalo, Larry Holmes and George Foreman, all the former opponents of him. And that was just basically the respect that he commanded as a man throughout all of the years. And it was quite a sad moment for boxing, and he was iconic, weren't he?
Yeah, really well. I mean, you even say that the relationship he built with Henry Cooper, and obviously when he went into Hall, did he go out? I don't think it was the Hall of Fame. I don't think it was being inducted, or if he had already been inducted and there was something else going on. But I do remember watching the news and seeing Henry Cooper and Muhammad Ali in the back of the convertible, and he had a great respect for England as well when he came for Britain in general, when he came over during the exile, just before it, especially with the Henry Cooper. And there was a guy, I can't think what it was, what documentary it was. I did see something, but there was a guy over in, I'm not sure where he lived or what part of England it was, but he felt like, I think he just went in for a cup of tea with his geezer, just some random fan. And he was really humbled by how we treated him compared to how he was being treated in America. So he always had a love for England, or I keep saying England, but for Britain in general. And this guy that he had met and that he had a cup of tea with, he actually came back again a few years later and went straight, knocked on his door and went for another cup of tea. And then there's famous pictures of him in there, and he's sort of taking some shots and sitting down having a cup of tea and just taking some shots of him rolling his wrists up. And again, I mean, that is just brilliant, isn't it? I mean, that guy must, that's just amazing for him. He didn't have social media like he did back then, like they do now today. Sorry. So yeah, another little story there where he just struck up friendships with random people. It doesn't matter where you are, what background wherever you come from. It didn't matter to him, and that's just Ali all over. And that's just great. And it's just, again, I mean, he's just an amazing person and a great fighter, and just one that you won't ever see again. You get these people in a lot of sports, whether it be like an Usain Bolt in athletics, or I can't think of anyone else off the top of my head in a minute, but these guys are just, they're like epic proportions. They're like, they're beyond the sport, and they transcend themselves beyond the sport with the stuff they do outside the ring as well. So yeah, it's brilliant, and a great one to start with for the career profiles.